Hi there, everybody. It's Wendy Hernandez with Command the Courtroom. I'm really happy to bring you this show with a very special guest, Allana Pratt. Allana is an intimacy expert, an author, a host, and a speaker. She's been featured in People magazine, in Forbes, on CBS, on Fox, on HuffPost, on TLC and iHeartRadio, and now here on Command the Courtroom, as she brought to my attention, which is awesome. So I love that you're here. Thank you, Allana, for being with me today.
Oh, thanks for having me. And isn't it amazing how we touched base? I think it's been about 5 years ago, you
Yes,
know,
yes, yes.
at Jeff Walker's event. And we're all entrepreneurs here to support one another and grow. And I'm thrilled that you're providing this for people because I mean, the divorce rate is what you know better than I, normally around 50%. But these days, I've heard it's up more in the 60s or 70s. What are you
Yep.
finding?
Yep, that's exactly what I'm finding. Divorce cases and custody cases have never been more in terms of what's coming through my office.
Yeah.
Which is, though people are going through difficult times with COVID, the economy, and then, these two things making relationships even more difficult.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. So I love the opportunity to share my own story, what I learned, how I can help other people. And I'm so grateful that I mean, you're busier than ever and you're serving humanity with a podcast. Like you're
Oh,
amazing, girl. So
oh,
thank you.
well, thank you. Thank you so much. And, and just for the viewers out there, Alana and I met about 5 years ago, as she mentioned, at a marketing event, which I love marketing. And just fate would bring us together again 5 years later. And Alana has an experience that I think will be helpful to anybody out there listening who's going through a difficult divorce or child custody case. And she's been generous enough to be willing to share a little bit about the experience and the gifts in that. So would you be willing to tell
Yeah.
everybody kind of what you went through?
Yeah. And know that the longer version, if you're interested, I have several books where I share the story because it really was a spiritual awakening for me. It sure didn't start out that way. It started out very scary. And I lost my house. I lost all my savings. I went into $250,000 of legal debt. So, like on a financial basis, it really destroyed what I had built. On an emotional level, since my child was one, we were doing 50-50, and that was really hard as a mom when your boobs are still wanting to like breastfeed and they're not around, and really facing for the first time he might not come back.
Yeah.
Like maybe something will happen to the two of them on my non-custodial days. So facing all that loss and surrender right away. So one
Yes.
of the first things that I learned was, okay, when our son was with his dad, am I going to be a victim? Am I going to say, poor me? Am I going to stay up every night lamenting and being angry at my ex? Or am I going to use that time to heal, forgive, nourish myself so that when our son returns to my house, that I'm playful and patient and present, and I really make quality, not quantity, count. So
Yes.
that was one of the first lessons I learned. Um, as the court battle went on for 12 years, basically the whole upbringing of our child was based on him wanting to my ex wanting to take our child away from me, and that was based on revenge. And here's one of the biggest lessons it took, because I'll be really honest, I wanted him abducted by aliens.
Yeah.
And that
Yeah.
was on a good day. I had other
Yeah.
things I wanted, to
Yeah.
chop them into pieces and
Yep.
feed them to the sharks, like all
Yeah.
sorts of horrible thoughts. But of course, that just fueled the rage and the blame and the victim, etc. So
Mhm.
there's a time and a place to express anger, but not to become the anger, to process the anger
Got it.
all the way through into fierce love of self and fierce ownership of, what did I do to contribute to this? Right.
Mhm.
And so what I discovered was, when I met my son's father, my mom was dying and I didn't want to feel that. So I thought, a man is a plan, a man and a baby is a plan, and I'll just sort of spiritually bypass this experience, and I'll live happily ever after. And I made up some excuse that, oh, I'll just marry somebody so my mom will die in peace because I have somebody. That was all BS. It was
Yeah.
because I was afraid to be alone without at the time, my best friend, my mom. And so my heart was closed, we could call that. And so energy attracts energy. So I attracted someone else whose heart was closed. who thought it was great that I was coming into an inheritance and quit the day our child was born.
Wow.
And yeah, all of this. And I discovered, OMG, I've really made a mistake here. And that from his point of view, and here's the really brave way of looking at that, perhaps your own ex's behavior. From their point of view, we made a promise to love them forever, unconditionally. And then they did certain behaviors that are just unworkable. You know, you might have tried therapy, you might have tried workshops, you might have tried communication, and then you've decided, okay, this is unworkable. I'm completing. But from their point of view, we rejected them and then we humiliated them in front of others. So,
Ah,
right. And then
yeah.
they, from a closed heart, who's humiliated, that's a raging ego, is going to go for the jugular,
Yeah.
right? It's going to
Right.
kill before they get killed. And so their behavior, and I'm not trying to condone anybody's cruel behavior, but I could have compassion that, oh, he's has a closed heart and he's just getting revenge right now.
Got
Got
it.
it. Got it. So then I didn't have to be so defensive and react all the time. I could really have some compassion. And I call it like this little Aikido move, like, hoi-ya, hoi-ya. So all that judgment comes at me, but I don't have to resist, don't have to justify,
Yeah.
right? And I just put it down beside me like I'm some like, Aikido master. And that also really, really, really helped. The other piece that I learned through the custody battle that I think is a really important piece is that everywhere that they were winning in the battle was where I was defensive, tried to justify, tried to look good, tried to be right, tried to be perfect, try, right?
Yeah.
And so that made me actually look the opposite, guilty. So
Ah,
it was not fun, Wendy. They would pages of Twitter posts, Facebook posts, all my newsletters, pictures of me with whoever I was dating at the time. And I'm an intimacy expert. I'm an intimacy expert and a relationship coach. I believe that our intimate relationship with ourself, are we kind, transparent, honest with ourselves, that it's the most important relationship. However, most people think of the word intimacy as, bow chicka bow bow,
yes.
right?
Yes.
So they said to the court, Your Honor, she sleeps with her client. She's a prostitute. And I was like, are you kidding me? And I reacted. I didn't respond. And they did this on purpose to take me off center.
Yeah.
And then I went into justification. No, no, sex is beautiful. And I don't, and I just looked
Ah,
like an idiot. Now,
God.
here's the gift. I learned that whenever we react and try to justify, we look guilty. But when we can receive this this accusation and see from another's point of view, we can look great in the courtroom. So in the beginning, they would say all this kind of stuff and I would react and justify. But then I started to shift it to, oh, I can see your point of view. And then I would just speak to the judge and I say, Your Honor, intimacy is to some people this, and to me it's that. And they'd also say, oh, she must be a narcissist. She doesn't have a PhD. She's just some coach. And back then I justified as well. But as I grew, because this was 12 years of this, I grew and I said, you know what? Most people don't understand that there's this huge coaching industry, that Steve Jobs had a coach. Kobe
Ah,
Bryant had a coach, that coaching is a very new wave of empowerment. And this, although I do not have a PhD, that's correct, no justification, right?
yeah,
That I make a difference to thousands, if not millions of people's lives.
totally.
Right. So I learned, the gift was through the court battle. I learned that to receive with non judgment, to see things from another's point of view, to justify nothing and just be honest, started to turn things in my favor.
Oh my gosh, that's amazing. It's beautiful. Um, how how I mean, people are probably wondering like, how do I get there? Because I think for many people, they immediately do react, and especially when the allegations and the accusations are so deeply personal.
Yes.
And we want to protect ourselves, we want to protect our hearts, we want to protect our child. So when we're in this fighting mode, how do you switch from reaction to responding or to receiving?
Yeah, it's not easy. I will say that. I will say that right now. When your kid's on the line, right? And our child had some really difficult times during those 12 years where it was really scary for a while, his well-being. And so this might not sound like fun, and I wouldn't do this necessarily on your own. Like, I have been trained in very high level quantum psychology, spiritual technology processes
Mhm.
to help with this. But here's what I know, and this is science, this is energy. What you resist persists.
Mhm.
Your fear of your worst case scenario, you're putting so much attention on, I don't want that worst case scenario. I don't want, well, where's our attention on what we don't want
Mhm.
that we often created? And so there's a very intense but powerful practice that I did with my coach. And so I hired a coach during this because I realized I was losing, and the only one in common was me, and I needed to do some work. And if I was going to spend $250,000, what's $250,000 and an extra 5K or whatever it
Yeah.
was to get some coaching?
Right.
I was asked to face my worst case scenario, face and feel that I lost, feel that I was humiliated, feel that everybody opted out of my Facebook, feel that all my clients went away, feel that my son would choose our ex and believe him and think I'm the liar, feel even that he might die. Like, just feel every worst case scenario, not for days, but for like 10 seconds. And then you go over to the other side. Let's feel the best case scenario. Let yourself see and vision that it all worked out, that although this has never occurred, I still allowed myself to feel co-parenting that worked, a thriving son, which has worked. I'd feel the best case, worst case, best case, worst case. And all of a sudden, I wasn't resisting anymore. I could be with it. I didn't prefer it. I didn't choose it, but I no longer was resisting half of life, clamoring for the other. I could be present. And so it's very important to get help from a therapist, a coach like me, or any of my Allana Pratt method coaches to really, I call it, integrate our worst fears. Because here's something you want to know about all of the energy that's bottled up inside you: the anger, the rage, the how could you, the shame, the humiliation, the terror, the fear. All of it is energy. And you can't create or destroy energy, but you
Mm.
can, like alchemy, change it.
Mm.
So the shame can turn into allowance. The pain can turn into power. The sadness can turn into forgiveness. The terror can turn into presence. And so you literally integrate all this caca of emotion that you're trying to push away, that's taking you off center, which means you're not in the best of your brain making creative prefrontal cortex decisions. You're not in your intuition, trusting your instincts. You're freaking. You're
Yes.
like, you're reacting, fight or flight or freeze. You're always going to make shitty decisions
Yep.
from that place, financially, in the courtroom, with the evaluators, with the judge. You're just not going to be your best self. So it's so imperative to integrate these stuck emotions, triggered emotions, trauma emotions into present, heart open, elegant, classy, confident, compassionate truth, and then show
Mm.
up on the stand. And I
Um,
remember the day, Wendy, I was being accused of all this crazy stuff. And I don't even remember the question that they asked, but I was like, whoa, 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 whoa. They were insinuating this and insinuating this. And I just remember I had a choice. So I want you to remember that even in the midst of the most horrible moment in court, there's the stimulus and there's the reaction. But in the middle, there's that space, that
mhm.
pause, that choice. Take a beat, take a breath, maybe hand on the heart, hand on the belly, take a breather. See in your mind's eye, there's a little you inside your heart, and say in your mind's eye, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Hey, little one, I got you. I got you. I got you. Right? Just take that beat. And there I was on the stand, and all this was happening. And I was like, oh, wait a minute, I have a choice. And I was cowering over as well. And I straightened up my body. I said inside my mind, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, we got this. And I said, thank you for your question. But that's actually not how things went down. Your Honor, this is the truth I would like to share. And I just owned it. And
Awesome.
and then they kept saying, strike that from the record, or I object. And I just kept talking. And then at the end I said, and I leaned in, I go, and what is your next question? Like, it was my courtroom and
Yeah.
I was in charge. I wasn't going to be intimidated anymore. It was a powerful moment of choice.
Oh my
And
gosh.
these are, so long story short, what if your ex is your greatest spiritual teacher?
Mm.
What if court and this custody battle is your spiritual workshop for you to grow? What if I looked at my $255,000 of legal debt is not a debt in which I was ashamed of and I was beating myself up and poor me and he's a jerk, blah, blah. That wasn't going to let the flow of money come back in my life. So I turned my point of view and I said, every single bill I paid, I said, oh, thank you. I went to the best university in the galaxy for a PhD in consciousness.
Yeah.
I just changed my point of view. And I said, thank you. Every time I wrote those checks out to those lawyers, thank you. As I consolidated all my credit cards, thank you. As I moved into a little matchbox out of my big house into a little home, thank you. Thank you. I have the degree from the best university of the galaxy. And I swear now, Wendy, I am stronger, wealthier, happier, more in service because of my ex's behavior. He is my master spiritual teacher. I love who I am. I love who I am. Do I want to have coffee with him? No. Have I spoken to him in 5 years? No. You don't have to like them, but you can be grateful for them.
Yes, I love that. I love that story. So something that popped up for me as you were just speaking that last part about the relationship with your ex. Do you have anything to say about forgiveness of an ex, especially when they have been so horrific, in a marriage or during a divorce or when it comes to the child? What are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, I have this really politically incorrect process. So I have group coaching. I have this online for singles, HeartMates dating app. I have HeartMates for couples. I have books. I have all these ways I can support people. One of my crazy ass politically incorrect processes, which I won't fully go into, or you'd probably, they'd lock me up. But the idea is we need to get rid of our anger. It's toxic in our body. Remember how I said how my mom died? She died of liver cancer. That's like the seat of anger in the body, if you believe in Louise Hay, Carolyn Myss, and
Yes.
metaphysical ailments, etc. So she showed me right in front of my face, if you don't deal with your anger, it's going to make you sick. And so in a very politically incorrect way, I take my clients through, I don't know, like chopping up their ex and whatever, like all sorts of things. We like put these dominatrix outfits on and we fully get rid of our anger. And we use the statement, how dare you? How dare you? And we imagine little you is sitting behind us and we're sticking up for ourselves, because you can't say that in court. You can't say that to the person, but it's still stuck energy inside you.
Yeah.
And so I take them through expressing for the sake of getting it out.
Yeah.
But then that's only part one. Then I get them to sit in this throne with little you, nice and safe and sound. And then the energy, like a ball of light of that represents their ex, comes and floats before them. And they take a ball from the ball. They take some of this light and they put it into their heart. And then I ask them to say, and this comes back to forgive, right? Thank you, forgive. Thank you for giving me the experience of betrayal, cheating on me, taking the house, saying BS to the kids, blah, 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 the whole thing. 15 things. I don't care if it's 25 things.
Yeah.
Thank you for giving me this experience, because I have learned, I have discovered, I have grown, I have stepped into, I have let go of, I've finally spoken my truth. I've trusted my intuition. I realize red flags when I see them now. Like, you have grown. And if you haven't, you freaking well better do the work. So you have grown. Or the next one that you're going to marry is going to be the same person in a different body. Promise, 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 promise. So do the work and be honestly grateful. Thank you for giving me this experience, as if you chose it yourself. As if you literally sat with God and the goddess, scotch and cigars. Okay, what are we going to do this life? Hey, I'd really think I'd like to learn about forgiveness. Well, do we have a husband or wife for you? Right? And you forget, of course, and you come down and you have your life. You can't forgive unless you've been betrayed.
Yeah.
Think about it. You can't know joy if you don't know sadness. Can't know day if you don't know light. It's how it works. So when you go, oh my God, I know strength because I've known weakness. I know bravery because I've been a coward. I know self-responsibility because I was a damsel in distress before. We can really own the gift that these relationships provide, as if we chose them ourselves for our own evolution. You're free. You're free. And then you embody that. It's not like it's like a thought. It's like a full-bodied embodiment. And that's how you live, with your heart wide open in the face of anything. Yeah.
That is so beautiful. Beautiful. I know there's so many people who need to hear this.
Thank you. And let me say something, Wendy. Thank you. I've got shivers as you're saying it. There's lots of energy running right now. So I know we're touching some people. I don't ever quite understand how all the energy works. I just know when I get shivers, good shit's happening.
Yeah,
So, right?
I agree.
Yeah. Something also happens in reality when you do the work. Yes, it happens in your heart. Yes, you can sleep better at night. Yes, you'll probably get out of debt faster. But here's something else. Magic starts to happen. Miracles in the courtroom starts to happen. You wouldn't believe it. They called and they want to settle. Oh my God, they agreed to our custodial suggestion. Oh my God, our kid isn't cutting themselves anymore. They're getting better.
Yeah.
These things that we deal with, the real shit that we deal with, starts to shift on an energetic level before it shows up in matter. Energy first, matter second, the inside first, the outside second. So know and be inspired to do this work, because you will create miracles that you will never have imagined possible by being this brave and this courageous and this humble.
So, Alana, where should somebody start if they want to do the work? Do you have any suggestions about where they go? Because I think these ideas that you're introducing
Yeah.
may be brand new to many people who are watching this. I think there are a lot of people who they're not, new to, but for the person who's thinking, well, I've never heard this before, where do they go? What did they look at?
Okay, so maybe we'll start with a book.
Yeah.
So my latest book is called From Heartbreak to HeartMate, Discover Lockdown Love. So not that I need you back on the dating scene right away, but eventually you'll get there. But I take you through the process, including some of the different processes I've been alluding to in this interview, for you to get a taste of, oh, that's what's possible. So again, that's just more awareness that isn't integrated. It's just like reading how to ride a bike, but you're not on the bike. You got to get on the bike. So the next stage would be coaching. So one place to go, my dating app is also, it's called HeartMates.app. It's the app. It's also the intimacy training and healing of past wounds, and also live conscious connection calls where we practice being present as a listener and speaking our truth. That trinity is so important for people to become the one, to find the one. And of course, the one we're first looking for, is us.
Yes.
Us and the divine, and then the beloved. So that would be an amazing community to be in, to do the inner work, to be on the court practicing healthy communication, and slowly but surely make friends, allies. And if over time it's somebody that really sees you and is doing the work too, because everybody on the dating app needs to be doing the intimacy training. The app is free when you sign up for the training. So that would be a beautiful conscious community to heal in, and to meet somebody that does the work like you do. That's another suggestion. And then lastly, if you're looking for more of a weekly group coaching program as well, I give everybody the app and the training as a complimentary gift when they're in the group program, or my inner circle, where you get more one-on-one time with me or my other coaches. So it's just really as deep as you want to dive. I've even done VIP, 3 days, and I've helped people consciously uncouple.
Wow,
And
really?
yes. And I've created parenting plans, and we talked about the money,
Oh my gosh.
and we talked about how to share with the kids and how to speak to the friends and what to do when someone wants to date. Like, we just went through everything, and they forgave each other and shifted from the identity of married and not into divorce battling, but into co-parenting, coexisting for the good of the kids. Like, so whatever level people want, desire, and is possible, I'm there. My team is there.
Oh, you have so many great things to offer, Alana. And I loved scrolling through your website, just kind of refreshing myself about you. And, there's a bunch of books. Is there 5 or 6 books?
There's 6 books. And then on the resource page, there's hundreds of interviews, podcast summits that I've been on. And then my own podcast, Intimate Conversations, interviewing others. There's even lovely guided meditations, because at the end of the day, when you're alone and you've been battling all day, who's there to hold you? And so these meditations allow you to exhale and feel held by me, my voice, by the divine, teaching you how to soothe that little one inside and stop beating yourself up and know, hey, you've done your best. And this is for you, not against you.
Just amazing. I love it. Thank you so much. Thank you for being here and sharing your wisdom and experience. And I know that you're giving hope to so many people by your presence
Mm.
here. Thank you.
Oh, Wendy, it's been so wonderful to reconnect. Thank you for asking about my story. Thank you for the work you do. And I'm sorry, but also happy that you're busier than ever.
Thank
Sorry.
you.
And yeah, and for everyone listening, what if nothing's wrong? What if nothing's wrong? What if this all is for you to grow? And also, lastly, let me complete with it's not always bad for the kids. I grew up in a household of two people that should have gotten divorced and didn't. And I just watched nonstop fighting. Right.
Mhm.
And so, even if you're getting a divorce, you haven't failed the kids. You've shown we've done our best and we're actually more honoring a part. And maybe now they'll see two healthy relationships rather than one unhealthy one. So forgive yourself if you think you've damaged your kids. You know, we've all done something that sends them to therapy, me
Yeah.
included,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
But you're going to show them what it's like to heal and forgive and to take the high road, and they're going to learn that, and that's going to support them. So good on you.
Oh, beautiful. You're doing great work in the world. Thank you again so much.
Mm, thank you, Wendy. All my love.
Ah, same here. All my love to you and to you out there watching. I will see you next time. And until next time, remember to keep on trucking and get out there and command the courtroom.